Yo, 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 yo. Test, test, test. There we go. Dude, did you guys see the Jim Cramer tweet about Boeing yesterday? In case you didn't know, here it is. Dude, you literally yesterday goes just out of nowhere for no reason. Boeing's really incredible. Meanwhile, Boeing just halted production again of their 737 Maxes and their stock plummeted. It's like you can't make this shit up, dude. Absolutely incredible. Let's take a look at Boeing's stock real quick. Gapped down big time. Look at that. Look at that, dude. Gap down 5.5%. God. All things considered, it's actually not that big of a drop, if I'm being objective. But the fact that that guy he does not miss a beat. Guy's what is the opposite of undefeated? Defeated? Like defeated doesn't even. Guy's undefeated at being fucking wrong. He has a 0% strike rate. It's really incredible. Redefeated? No, it's not redefeated because he was never not defeated. He's pre-feated. I don't know. It's something not good. Anyway, all right, let's go ahead and get started here. So end of the week, big moves in crypto, and probably the most important chart that no one's talking about is the dollar index, right? We're seeing a lot of crypto moves into macro support. And if if you've been watching my stream, you know that we are sitting with the dollar index into crypto is running into macro resistance and the dollar is running into macro support. And today it inked out a brand new, fresh, crispy low, just ever so slightly, the crispiest of lows, and then it rallied. Boom. Now, market closes in 2.5 hours, so don't want to count your chickens before they hatch, but it looks like it's gonna stick, right? I mean, it's a pretty big bounce. Basically going to close a daily bullish engulfing, unless it just really shits going into the close. But it's just safe to assume, it's 95% of the way, 98% of the way through the candle. It looks like it's going to close. Now, why is this relevant? Because when we take out lows like this, and then it rallies, it forms something called a swing failure pattern. Or if you want to just do the simple version of it, it's just a liquidity run, right? So you get this floor that gets created. In our case, it's macro support, right? And you get this price floor that gets created by the initial low. And when the market comes back down and sweeps the low and rallies, it takes out all of the liquidity below it, and it traps breakout shorters in our case, right? You can have patterns that do this, or you can have patterns that do this, right? In our case, we're doing that. And specifically why that's interesting is because if you look at the Bollinger Bands, something I've been talking about a lot, I've been talking about Bollinger Bands a lot lately, we don't see the clean attach onto the lower band. So, does that mean that things are going to bounce? No. Does it mean that we're going to continue? Maybe. But if you're looking at things objectively here, this looks like it's poised to bounce, actually. It's sitting on multi-year support, right? It had its first test. It had its retest today. And it's closing, most likely going to close just above the prior swing low. And why that matters is if dollar bounces, everything else is going down, and it's very appropriate that we're getting this retest of support as Bitcoin's retesting macro support, turn resistance, and so is Ether, right? So we need to really keep an eye on this close because this little zone, this band of prices, was my like threshold, right? If we close below it, it would be a really good sign. I never want to see something take out a low and rally. Just like you never want to see something take out a high and dump, right? I would not, even if this closed slightly below this, I would not feel very comfortable unless it closed on the Bollinger Band, which it very well might do. But either way, this still has me a little sketched out, right? Anytime something takes out a swing low or a swing high and goes the opposite direction, that's immediately like eyebrow raising, right? So let's go ahead and update our notes. Daily discussion for 1423. Oh, we got a Prime sub from Skyfall. Thanks, man. For those who don't know, you get a free subscription with your Amazon Prime. They own Twitch, and so you get to get a free sub with your Prime. So if you haven't used that, feel free to support your favorite streamer, whether that's me or whoever else. It doesn't really matter, but you still have it. And we get like, fucking 14 cents or whatever it is. I don't know the amount, but it's a huge. Oh, no, it's not huge. It's a very small amount. Okay, so weekly so we had a couple of things. So we'll say weekly, and then we'll also put Dixie. So Dixie, boom. Weekly A. Currently, let's say this. A new low was made and currently waiting to see how the weekly candle closes. Is teasing a liquidity sweep of the low, which also happens to be decade long support. All right, we'll say prior resistance turned support to be more accurate. Decade long resistance turned support. It is teasing a liquidity sweep of the low. What do we want to say here? Watch out for a bounce off of support. Note, Dixie up equals everything else down. Let's do this. Boom. Boom. Okay. Still early to call this, so we'll just say also keep an eye out for the weekly close because it is just above the lower band. Closing on the lower band would be a strong indication that we are likely to continue to the downside. So these are conflicting things, right? This, you don't always get this like perfect up signal, down signal, right? So all of that to me just says this is a point of uncertainty. And in general, for my criteria of getting long exposure or short exposure, if I want long exposure, I want to see the dollar clearly breaking through and trending down. And if I get short exposure, I want to see the dollar clearly rallying upward, right? So I personally am not comfortable. I was hoping to get a clean close down here, and maybe it'll still happen. We still got 2 hours left, and maybe it'll dump. But if it closes anything like this, that to me says I'm still waiting another week to get into my macro equities positions like Triple Q, SPY, a couple other tech stocks like Apple and stuff, right? To me, I'm waiting to see confirmation of broken support and further confirmation of like attachment to the lower band, indicating not only a break of support, but a trend is giving birth to the downside. Right now, this just says wait, and that's okay. Like I don't have a problem waiting here, especially when crypto's at a precarious position. It's at resistance. It's generally not a good idea to short into support or long into resistance. So this just says wait and see. All right. Monthly we're still halfway through the monthly. So to me, this says who gives a fuck right now. But when we go to the monthly chart, what I would really like to see for a bullish bias on basically everything is I want to see a monthly close below this level. The level is a little bit looser. The monthly level is actually tighter than the. So I'll make a monthly level. So let's clean this up. So weekly, this is green. So weekly range SR zone. Inside to the right. Oh God, make this white, bold, and we'll go 16. All right, so now we can make a different color for our monthly, which is, we can loosely define it like this. You can make an argument for this. It's kind of just this whole zone of prices. This is probably the more conservative option here. And we'll change our color here. So let's make this, make it yellow. Boom. Visibility or text. This is monthly range SR zone. Okay. So we got two different zones. Let's put you at the bottom. We'll put you at the top. There we go. That we get a little bit more differentiation. Sorry. I want these to match. There we go. No question about this now. Okay. So for me, if the monthly close right here, this is long signal all day for me. Okay. But the monthly and weekly should be treated differently. They're different charts, right? The volatility for both of them are different. So if I see a monthly close like this, where it's closing below the midline, closing below this zone, this is long signal all day, and I'm looking to get long exposure on whatever, coins or stocks or whatever. But we got to wait 2 weeks. So this is kind of like a moot point, but this is something to keep an eye out. Like this is on our to-do list, right? Check on it in 2 weeks. But either way, days, weeks. Okay. But yeah, if we close below the B-band's midline, that is A-okay for me. Smiley face. Okay. Any questions about Dixie, or can we move on? I guess I'll make a note, just a brief note for monthly. Monthly. Currently sitting below the SR zone and below the B-band's midline. A close below both of these, what should we say, zones, price ranges, would be a long signal on everything anti-dollar. Equities, metals, crypto, etc. Okay. Note, we need to wait for the monthly close. Okay. That's probably about all we can squeeze out of here. All right, let's go to crypto. Or you guys have any questions about Dixie? If not, we'll just go to Bitcoin. It's basically the same shit I've been saying for weeks at this point. This thing moves so slow, so it's updates are few and far between, but it is sitting at a really important zone to watch. Okay, so let's take a look. So similar but different to Dixie. Bitcoin is currently running into this zone right here, but just from the underside. And this zone is important because this was our prior range support. The range support before the whole floor gave out, right? This is, you can see here, there's a range, there's a zone of prices before the floor gave out. It even had a nice little retest, a fake breakout, and then a denial. And now for the first time since the entire bear market, we're seeing a retest from the underside. And no surprise, we're running into turbulence, right? Like if we look at the low time frame, we see quite clearly like a series of rejections. Oops, shit. Series of rejections, a thrust inside, a dump below. Now this is just chop suey in here. It's until we clear this thing on a meaningful time frame that's like daily would be good, weekly would be preferred. This is a zone of indecision, and it's generally unadvisable to get long exposure until we've cleared it, because any decisive rejection from this would be pretty aggressive. Anytime you see a series of tests into a zone, the reaction is going to be violent. It's either going to be, so like this is an example from, imagine this is what we're doing now, but just the other direction, right? So we're coming up underneath something, and it either accepts it and breaks through, or it gets rejected. Here's an example of something that's testing it from the top side and gets violently rejected to the upside. So, you know, it has the potential for a violent rejection. Here's another example, right? Boom. Hits it, retests, and bounce. Now, if we flip this upside down, right, we're in a similar situation. So all that to say is it's just wait, right? Like just wait to see what the market does. This little band of prices, it's like, I mean, how much is this? This is 4%. Like, who gives a shit, right? Just wait. Because if it does close up here, well, then that sets us up for all of our long signals that we see. But until it does that, I'm very, very wary about getting long exposure here, especially while Dixie is sitting on this this weekly support. So as long, where'd my, oh man, where'd it go? Did I filter it out on accident? Weeks, oh I did, okay. Especially while Dixie is sitting on this weekly support. Yeah, so we got Dixie on support, Bitcoin at resistance. Maybe it breaks through, maybe Dixie breaks through, but it's just kind of sketch right now. Okay, so let's make some notes here. So BTC, so weekly is a different range. So you can see that this is like the daily zone. Weekly is slightly different. I'll say daily TF. Weekly gets drawn a little differently, so weekly would be here, right? We'll make you yellow as well. So you get yellow, yellow, yellow. Text, this is weekly range support. So what does that mean, right? We got a zone down here for daily. We got a zone up here for weekly. What that means is these are two different levels that you got to pass, right? So even if the daily closes up here, it's like you got this. This is the final boss, right? You're fighting all the minions up here. You finally get through here, and then if you don't get cleared on the weekly, you get cucked, and then you get rejected, right? So we want to see a daily close above this. That'd be sweet. What will be even better is a weekly close above here. And if we get that, then we get to reap the rewards of this gigantic edge to edge, and potentially and ideally, hopefully, a cloud breakout that takes the market into a fresh new bull market. When I say bull market, I mean like macro bull market. That's like something like this that goes for like a year, not just a few months, right? But we got to Got to keep our wits about us until then. So let's make some notes. Let me play some catch up real quick. So, weekly and daily. What do I want to say about this? Weekly and daily SR zone from prior range is being tested. Currently, we are in a zone of indecision because a rejection here would be pretty violent, as Dixie is sitting on macro support. Right? We get another week of like maybe. Once it clears this is the final boss. Once it clears this, we're good to go. But until then, in my book, it's wait and see. What else do I want to say about this? So let's subdivide this. So weekly edge to edge is still on the table with target equals edge to edge on Ichimoku cloud system. All right, and so we have our target still 43,450. Right, it's been the same for weeks. 43,450. What about alts? What are you asking me? Oops. I am using default Ichimoku cloud settings. That's what I'm using right now. Oops. Okay. Sorry about that. What else do we want to say about this? To me, it's a big wait and see. Definitely don't want to see daily closing a rejection of this area. Right? It's threatening to do that now. I do not want to see that. If it does, I would expect to see a pullback to like maybe the Tenkan or the Kijun. Bollinger Band wise, this would be considered a trend failure, right? We don't want to see the market hesitating here. We're stuck to the upper band. It has the setup that we're looking for. We just don't want to see hesitation here, right? This is what something I was talking about on Wednesday is breakouts that hesitate into resistance tend to get shit on. And yeah. So we want to see a decent close, something that does not reject the upper band. It definitely doesn't reject this resistance. If it does, things could get hairy because it would look something like this, right? Where it like tries to trend, fails, comes down to the midline. We'd reassess it at the midline, and if the midline fails, we would target the lower B band. Right? There's a large source of liquidity here because of this impulse that we broke out of, right? The impulse, we didn't break out of a level, right? It wasn't like a level like this where the market broke out. It ran from the bottom of the range. And whenever it does that, it leaves behind a ton of liquidity. So there's a good chance we sweep this low, this something I call the impulse route. So if we see hesitation, we've got a direction, right? We know where we're going. But right now, as long as we get a decent close, it's kind of just trudging along, right? People are trying to short it down. Maybe people are taking profit on their longs. This is a logical place to do it as well. We're at 30. We're above 30K. People see that as like mental resistance, right? So maybe we pull back. We haven't pulled back in a while. Not that markets have to pull back, right? Like they can just keep going up indefinitely. But yeah, we should just keep an eye out for levels to watch if it does pull back, right? Maybe you're not in and you want to get long exposure, or maybe maybe you're hedged and you want to close your hedge, or maybe you're just looking to add, right? Maybe you just have money sitting on the sidelines and you want to add to your position. Hello, Bitcoin Schmitcoin. Hello. Clarinex 11. Clarinex 11. The edge to edge. So let's say daily. B-bands currently look healthy, but any hesitation as we run into resistance could be the catalyst for a sharp correction. And so far, it should be noted that so far, this is our first test of resistance, this whole bear market, right? I mean, yes, this was resistance too, but to me, I separate support and resistance into two different categories. This to me is hanging support, and this is if the market comes back over and retested this to me is a stronger type of support. Whenever you have a hanging support, it means that like the market is pulling it up. The market is lifting, right? It's hanging from the top and it's lifting it upward. If we have this to me is like, if you want, a visual example, this is like a foundation, right? You have a pillar and you're slamming into a pillar. This to me is stronger support than something like this. So this to me is our first time retesting strong resistance, because this would be from the underside, right? So we flip the chart upside down. Right, here we are. Like if you see this chart right here and someone says, "Hey, look at this chart. Are you gonna short this or are you gonna long this?" I'm pretty sure most people would look at this objectively and be like, "Oh, this is a good buy opportunity. This is a throwback to broken resistance." Right? When you look at it this way, it looks a little different. However, right, if we close below this, this little zone here, that would be most likely a support failure, and we keep going to lows, right? So if we go flip this chart back around, same thing applies. If we break this, I guess I should redraw my resistance, huh? This should be I think this should be lower. Let me think about this for a second. I need to redraw this. Maybe something like that. That seems more appropriate, I think. If you want to be super conservative, it'd be here. But I feel like I don't like to have huge zones like this because they just look so. It's like, I mean, that's 8%. Like you can't have a support zone that's 8% of price volatility. I think this is the safer bet because we got a clean wick into there. That's a rejection. Yeah. Okay. This looks better to me, like this. But either way, if you look at this chart upside down, objectively, this looks like you're just running into an old level. And does that mean it's going to hold? No. Does that mean it's going to bounce? No. But does that mean, hey, let's wait and just see what happens? Yeah, of course. Like there's no harm in just waiting. Okay, so notes, B-bands currently daily, B-bands currently look healthy. But any hesitation as we run into resistance could be a catalyst for a sharp correction. What else do we want to say here? Ichimoku is objectively bullish. Nothing bearish about the Ichimoku cloud right now. I think like super bullish. Could not ask for a more bullish structure than this. The only thing that would make this more bullish is like if the cloud was a little thinner. So this is just nitpicking right now, but something like this, like when you see the price is sufficiently far away from the cloud and the cloud is like super thin. See how like objectively thin it is, and it just kind of gets thinner. Right now we kind of got like a thick cloud and we're close. But it's fine. It's not like the end of the world if it's this close. That's not bearish. Like this is objectively a bullish Ichimoku cloud, right? We see lagging span above price, price above Tenkin, Tenkin above Kijun, Kijun above Kumo. Do I use add/money flow? No, I don't know. What is that? I'm not sure what that is. Is objectively bullish. Any pullbacks? Let's say this, any potential pullbacks the market sees, we should look to the Tenkin and Kijun for signs of weakness or signs of strength, right? So a sign of strength would be, because the market does this all the time. Whenever you're in a strong trend, it'll just come down and like give the Tenkin like little love taps. Like here's an example right here. It gives like little love taps, like tap, tap, tap. And as long as it's not closing below this thing, like it's fine. If it does close below this, we look to the Kumo, the Kijun. And then if it closes below the Kijun, we look to the Kumo, right? So even if the market does pull back and it just kind of taps the Tenkin, like that's fine, no big deal. It pulls back, gives this fellow a little love tap. As long as it's not closing below the Kijun on the daily, it's fine. Like this is totally normal to do this. These are healthy bull market things because we're making higher highs, and as long as we're just kind of snaking upward, like that's fine. For signs of strength. Note pullbacks. Oops. Pullbacks. Let's say this. Retests of the Tenkin and Kijun are healthy and normal part, and a normal can't spell normal part of bull market behavior. As long as it doesn't close below the Kijun, everything is okay. 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 All right, so let's see. The AD measure seeks to identify divergences between the stock price and the volume flow. This provides insight into how strong a trend is, and the money flow indicator is just the money that has been put in a certain asset last days, etc. No, I'm not familiar with that at all. And I'm not sure if that would be a very good indicator for crypto either, just because there's so many exchanges. Unless you use some sort of composite that compiles all of the exchanges together. The stock's a little different. There's only like a handful of exchanges. And they're all very, very high volume. Oh, you trade stocks? Yeah, so I can imagine that would work very well with stocks. I just don't think it would work well with crypto because there's like fucking 40 different exchanges and they all have really high volume. But how much of that is actual legit volume versus wash rating and stuff like that? Like, who knows, right? So let me go ahead and shamelessly plug my Discord here. If you want these show notes and stuff, go ahead and jump in the Discord. I post these show notes and replays and clips and stuff like that in the Discord. As soon as the stream is over, I'll go ahead and just post it in there, so you don't have to like write this down and stuff. Yeah, like no need to copy this down. Just pay attention and whatever you want to do. But these notes are always posted immediately after. So as soon as the stream is over, I'll just copy and paste it over, and you can find it there. Also, if you want to join my trading group, it's also available. That is not free. The show notes and all that stuff is free. All the content that you see, like on Twitter, of course, is free. But if you want to join my trading group, there's an application in my Discord, and you're more than welcome to apply. Copying the notes down by hand will help you learn, though. That is actually true. There is a lot of evidence to support that if you write things down, your brain remembers them a lot better than if you just type them or read them. That is actually true. I think I heard that from Andrew Huberman. If you don't listen to his podcast, he's got a really good podcast. He's like he's a neuroscientist. I forget what he is, but he's got a really good podcast. You should check it out. Okay. What else do we want to say? Monthly, there's not a whole lot we can take away from this. The only thing that we really don't want to see is we want to see the monthly closing above this thing. If the monthly closes anywhere near this level, it's going to close below this cloud, and that would be bad, right? That'd be humongo resistance. Here's an example of the last time it closed under the cloud. This was the 2019 COVID shakeout that had the turbo nuke, right? So anytime we get it's not often because there's not a whole lot of price history, but if we get something below here, that most likely means we're going to be heading back lower. It's not a very good sign. But if we can pick up the pace, we've got a couple of weeks left still. As long as we close anywhere up in here, we should be good, right? We just don't want to see the monthly opening below the cloud. But we still got 2 weeks on it, so take that with a grain of salt, right? And I suppose I'm not a big fan of monthly levels because it's so zoomed out. But I guess there's this monthly level that you should keep an eye on, but I just don't know how much weight to put behind that. I just don't feel like monthly levels, no one really gives a shit about monthly levels. When you look at crypto monthly levels, it's I don't even know that the market respects them. Definitely respect daily and weekly, but I don't know. Monthly is just such a high time frame for crypto. So much volatility happens in that short period of time. Let's take a look at the weekly B bands. So if we get a close up here, that'd be sick. It'd be attaching to the upper band. That's what we want to see for a strong continuation. The one thing I will say is I'm not a fan of these diverging pushes, right? If we look at the B bands, the oscillator at the bottom, God damn it. This is a form of divergence where we're making new highs, but not new highs relative to the Bollinger Bands. But as long as we get a weekly close on this upper band, I think that's fine. I things can diverge for forever, right? Look at the last bull market. It was technically diverging, so divergence isn't the best indicator in the world. But as long as we get an attachment on this upper band, that's cool. The only thing, again, we don't want to see hesitation here, because if it hesitates on the attachment, most likely going to see a pullback, because that's just trend weakness. We don't want to see weakness into new highs. And if we look at oh, we're on Bitstamp. It's like, why is this volume so weird? If we look at the weekly volume, it is definitely trending down. No question about it. Right, it's trending down. And that's generally not what you want to see. You want to see at least sustained volume. Like look at this last bull market. As the market goes up, the volume expands, right? Yeah, and like you can even see here, like in the early stages of the bull market. So this would be the analog, in my opinion, right? So if we have this early stages in the bull market where it's like struggling to get up here, once it gets this detachment, it comes back down and touches the midline. We can see the volume is tapering off on these rallies. And then, of course, once it hits the midline, bam, it takes off. And we see this huge expansion of volume. We just don't see any of that right now, right? We see decreasing volume. And so a rejection off this upper band would have me favoring looking to this this midline here at 22.5, which would be a pretty brutal pullback, especially considering all this activity we had in here. This is kind of obvious. Also, no, to maintain such levels and keep grinding, we need more people buying. Yeah, exactly, right? Like it's at the end of the day, markets are the greater fools game, right? It's like if someone's got to buy your shit, and if no one's buying it, then the sellers sell to the next person that's lower that's willing to buy. So yes, that's exactly right. All right, so let's make a note on the weekly. So weekly is still on the table. Pay attention to the weekly close. Pay attention to the weekly close. If we fail to close on the upper B band, that could be an early sign of momentum loss, and we would look to the weekly B band's midline for support. Let's look at some examples of when that happened, right? Both bullish and bearish examples, right? The market really respects the B band's midline. This tends to be the make or break, like the line in the sand, right? This is like, you know, it's not 100%, but it's pretty fucking close to it, right? Boom. Like, look at this. Like, look at that. Right? So if we hesitate here, I would say a healthy pullback and a healthy correction, and something that would make even the strongest bull shit his pants, is a pullback to this midline. Right? It's a dynamic level, so you can't just give it a hard number. It changes week to week. It is pulling up, but currently at this exact moment, it is at 22,500. And that would actually be not the worst thing in the world, right? That would basically be a throwback to the neckline of the Head and Shoulders bottom. 22,500. That would be pretty deep. It would be pretty deep below the neckline. But here's the neckline here. Anything lower than 22.5 is even lower than that, isn't it? Yikes! That would be a gut check. That would be a gut check if it came down that far. That would definitely be sketchy. But history shows us the market respects the B-band's midline. I don't know if I would count this as anything actionable, just because it's This was the big COVID shakeout, so it's kind of just like kind of threw everything out the window. But for the most part, like look at this. The market just loves the B-band, the weekly B-band midline. Boom, 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 boom. Loves it. Midline retest is when too long, when everyone is scared. Yeah, exactly. It's a very, very good point. Exactly. And it would still be a higher low, right? It'd be boom, 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 boom. For sure. And, you know, if we want to like try to 200 IQ this and just game theory it, everyone who buys this retest will get just blown out as it blows right through this level, right? So say you're watching this daily time frame and you're like, oh, I want to buy a retest of this level, right? This 25,000, you know, this zone right here. Imagine buying this and then watching it continue and continue until somewhere down here. And if you bought it on margin, you get stopped out for sure. And if it just bounced down here and kept going, like I don't think a lot of people would be anticipating that. So let's say this midline is currently at, what did I say, 22.5? Currently at 22.5. 22,000. Oops. 22,500. Note the midline target is a dynamic level and changes week to week. Okay. I think I've squeezed all the juice out of this thing that I can. Let's go ahead and look at Ether. So Ether is doing something similar. So Ether had this. It's kind of hard to draw this. I don't know if I might even redraw this thing. Maybe here. Definitely here. If you want to be super conservative, it would be here. Like this would be the zone. I just don't like these big zones like this. It's just so big. Like, how much price activity is that? 8%? Yeah, but when we have these consecutively lower closes, it's like, well, what do you do with that? Market respected it here on the swing high. Yeah, I guess we could do this. Actually, I don't hate this. But it should be noted. I'm not the biggest fan because it's such a big zone, but it's like, what are you going to do, right? Closing above this would definitely be good. It's currently sitting right above it. We have a couple of days left on the weekly candle. So if we look at like the daily, no surprise, we ran into supply here. Here's the upper boundary. So nothing terribly surprising here. It basically just teleported through this whole thing. Got to the other side and then got rejected. So definitely need to keep a close eye on this, especially because this is a humongous Adam and Eve double bottom. Here's your Adam, here's your Eve, and here's your neckline right there. And this is basically almost a year-long double bottom. And because it's so long, I would look to weekly candles for confidence on a breakout. So we definitely don't want to see this thing reject. We don't want to see it rejecting this. this zone, but we definitely do not want to see this weekly coming back below this. What level is this? This is 20,000. Sorry, 2032, whatever. 2030, right? A weekly close that comes down below this 2030, that would not be good. That would not be good. And we would, similar to Bitcoin, we would be looking to the B-Band's weekly midline. If we go back in time, just like Bitcoin, Ether has respected the B-Band's midline time and time and time again. Right? Boom, 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 boom. Right? So we would, if this rejects here, we would look to the B-Band's midline for a, basically like worst case scenario pullback. But I'm just not a fan of false breakouts because false breakouts typically mean, right? So here's our Adam and Eve double bottom, right? Perfect setup. If this thing false breaks out and it comes back down, a lot of times that means we're going to go for the liquidity below the head. And that would be brutal. That'd be absolutely brutal if that happened. But I would feel comfortable buying the B-Band's midline here. Yeah. So basically looking to buy that in the event of a pullback. Always a really great, like, buy the dip opportunity. Pending nothing like this happens. Like, this would be like U.S. has like a nuclear war with Russia. That's what would cause this. This is the COVID shakeout, the pandemic. The only thing that's going to cause something like this is like something just catastrophically brutal happening. So odds are, if we do get a pullback and you buy the midline, probably okay. But either way, watch for the rejection here. And definitely, we got a couple of days left on the weekly candle. Watch for the rejection here. But if it closes up here, sky's the limit because this thing has a huge target. So let's assume it doesn't pull back and it does what it should do. It's a $1,150 move. So we just project that up, 1,150. Still got some juice left to squeeze. Still another 50% move to the upside. So as long as this thing closes up here, it clears this resistance. Definitely doesn't close here. That's fine. Like, this looks like it's got a lot of upside potential. And even if it does get a little bit of a rejection here, as long as it doesn't outright reject this upper band and just like close somewhere down here, I think it's fine. Like, even if it closes like a little bit of a wick up here and the body closes like here, that's fine. That's still on the band, still a strong trend. That's A-okay by me. Okay. So, all right. So let's look at some altcoins or whatever you guys want to talk about. What do you guys want to? Yeah, what charts you guys want to look at? German 40. Okay. German 40. Is this I don't ever trade this. Is this a good source? Currency.com. Okay, so daily looks pretty good. Weekly looks good too. It is obviously running into the world's most obvious level up here. Or zone, rather. To me, long exposure here is a no-go. I would like to see it clear this zone and close on the upper B band. This is asking to get your feelings hurt. If it rejects, you'll be kicking yourself silly. Why not just wait a little bit, right? But this is obviously bullish, right? Objectively, it's bullish on the daily and the weekly, and it looks good to me. This just looks like a no buy zone until it gets above, in my opinion. But yeah, other than that, it looks good. ARB. Oh God, I forgot about this. ARB is pumping and doing what pumps do. Making another all-time high. So, I mean, objectively, this is bullish, right? But these are hourly candles. There's not enough data to get a macro trend, but I mean, this is objectively bullish, right? Yeah, it looks good to me. I don't really know what else to say about that other than the obvious, right? It's pumping. Metis. What the hell is that? Oh, this actually has a bit of price history on it. Interesting. Okay. All right. Let's take a look. So currently at the cloud, I mean, it is setting up an edge to edge, but it's like, how much are you really going to get out of this? 8%. Is it worth it? In my opinion, probably not. What does the weekly look like? So weeklies, it found support on the B-band's midline. Like, that's good. Cloud probably isn't. Yeah, there's nothing to do there. What does the 3-day chart look like? Okay, 3-day chart doesn't look bad. So this is interesting, actually. So the 3-day chart is, the price is above the 3-day cloud, but the 1-day cloud, it's inside. Interesting. Very interesting. Okay. Yeah, I mean, it definitely has bullish potential for sure. I like that it's challenging the midline or the upper band. I like that the weekly it found support on. That's cool. Definitely don't want to see this thing closing below the midline. So doing something like this, for example, where it closed decisively below, that would be an automatic get the fuck out signal. But, you know, maybe it's worth taking a swing at. I mean, upper B band is 30%. So maybe it runs to the upper band. Like, that wouldn't surprise me. Risk to reward is like 1.5 R, right? Yeah, it's almost exactly. Yeah, so it's not bad. You want to look at Link? Yeah, let's look at Link. So Link isn't really doing a whole lot of shit. It's been a humongous range, though, so I've been keeping an eye on it. I want to see Link closing weekly candles. Basically, weekly candles above here. If it gets up here, this is a huge buy signal for me. It's been this range for so long. And Link has a tendency to, when it runs, it just runs forever. So I would be really interested to see this because I could easily see this thing running to this zone here. I need to redraw this. I don't know what this is. This should be something like that, basically. But I would be targeting this for Link if it breaks out at minimum. I'd be targeting this, which would be like an 85% move. I've always liked Link, not from like a conceptual basis, but I just like the way it trades. It trades really well. It trades super cleanly, and for the longest time, it would front run Bitcoin. It hasn't been doing that lately, obviously, but all of these runs right here, it front ran all of the Bitcoin breakouts. So it was really fun. But yeah, I could easily see Link once it finally breaks out, running to here. I'm bullish on Link. I just don't see a reason to get long exposure right now. I would rather get long exposure once it closes above this level here. But yeah, other than that, it's fine. VAIOT. Okay. Oh, this is an old coin too. Interesting. Old, relatively old. So it's currently sitting on, it looks like it had a massive run. What is this? This is, boom. Holy shit. 6,000%? What? Oh my God. What is this thing? I didn't even look at the scale. That is fucking insane, dude. But yeah, it's currently sitting on the B-Band's midline. After having such a massive run, I would expect before it does anything else to see these B-Bands come climbing back up before it does anything else. After 6,000% move, I think waiting a few weeks isn't much to ask. Dude, I hope that you caught that 6,000% run. That is fucking stupid. If you did, dude, get on you. Like that's ridiculous. So daily is also set up for an edge to edge. %42%. Would it be a good time to buy more at this moment? That's something you're gonna have to figure out for yourself, my man. I can't give you financial advice on a Twitch stream. What are you, crazy? But yeah, there you have it. Okay. Anything else you guys want to talk about? We've been going for about an hour and a half now, so. No, we haven't. We've been going for an hour. What else you guys want to talk about? If not, we'll just wrap it up and enjoy the weekend. RNDR. Let me see. Or LQTY. Let's do that first. This has no price activity or no price history. I mean, who knows with stuff like this, right? It's just making like it hasn't even broken market structure yet. Did it tick out this low? It did tick out this low. I don't know. I don't really have a whole lot to say about coins like this because it's just like there's such low liquidity. Like who knows what it's going to do? But it hasn't broken market structure yet. I could easily see this thing ranging for a long period of time. So it actually does kind of look like an accumulation trading range, if I'm being honest. Volume's definitely lacking, but this looks like, buying climax, AR, sign of strength, creek, spring, jump across the creek. This actually might be setting up for a pretty big move. Oh, it's only a 25% range. Yeah, I mean, maybe relative, but yeah, I don't like charts like this. GBP USD. My man's a forex trader. Let's go take a look. What time frame are you looking at? Because people trade like 1 minute charts on forex. So what time frame do you want to look at the pound? On weekly? Okay. Okay, so so weekly is currently breaking out of the cloud. That's interesting. Okay. 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 Oh, dude, this looks actually really good. When you get a cloud breakout and a B-band squeeze like this thing could be set up for a monster rally. It's currently running into like all this shit down here. But sorry. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Dude, it took out the low from 1984 or 85. That's fucking wild. Wow. Then rallied 20%. Took it out when? September of last year. Interesting. Yeah, this actually looks really good. The fact that this... Okay, so we're getting... there's multiple things going on here. So we're getting a cloud breakout on the weekly. Cool. Got a B-band squeeze on the weekly. Even better. We're currently sitting at the upper band, and it just took out a 40-year low. Like, dude, the British pound might be set up for a monster rally. Look at volume 2. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how I feel about Forex volume, if I'm being honest with you. Because this is trade volume, right? Like, this isn't, like, that doesn't tell you, like, there are multiple ways to get British pound other than you using this exchange. So I would take Forex volume with a grain of salt. But yeah, other than that, it looks really, really, really good. Holy shit. So something that would give me really, really good feels if we get a monthly close above this midline. But weekly and daily looks really good. Monthly cloud is kind of just like Cosby sweater. But yeah, it doesn't look bad. It could be setting up for a monster move. I like that setup. That's really good. Yeah, cool. Hope that helps. Flux USDT. Let's do it. Oh god. I don't know what to say about this. I mean, B-bands are obviously consolidating. There's just not much price history. Daily is super consolidated too. Um, this just isn't anything that I would trade, man. I mean, it's kind of making like this little micro price floor, but like I could easily see this thing just giving out and going to the downside. Trend is objectively bearish on the daily, like no question about it. A B-band squeeze into a bearish Ichimoku cloud setup says to me it's probably going to go to the downside. Maybe it doesn't, but odds aren't in your favor to be long here. All right, let's look at great content as always, mate. Always learn a lot. You're welcome. RNDR. RNDR. Let's do it. So RNDR looks good. I don't know what the hell this coin is, but it looks good. I think you guys already know what I'm going to say about this. Big squeeze, big volume, big attach on the upper band. This looks ripe as frick. I like this setup. I love this sort of cloud structure like this. This... So weekly B-bands might be a problem. Probably going to consolidate longer if I had to guess. But daily looks good, man. Looks good. Just a casual 450% between friends. All right. But yeah, daily looks really good. Okay. All right, let's go ahead and wrap this up. Unless you guys got any more, we'll wrap this up. And I'll go ahead and plug the Discord one more time. Bang. If you want the show notes, that's where they'll be. I'll throw them on there as soon as the stream ends. And I'll post a link to the replay. Yeah. Okay. And also, if you want to join the trading group, there's the application in there. Feel free to fill that out and all that other stuff, right? All right. You guys have a great weekend. Again, keep an eye out for the levels, right? We're running into macro resistance as Dixie runs into macro support. Generally not a good idea to get super exposed if you're not already long, right? Getting fresh exposure here is just asking to get your feelings hurt. Maybe it works out, maybe it doesn't, but a firm rejection would make you feel pretty dumb, right? And we want to avoid that, right? But other than that, that's all I got. Next week, we'll be doing the second gathering of the Justice League of Crypto. Me, Jack, Crypto Jack, and Josh Copper and Octum will be having our bi-weekly threesome. And we'll be mind melding and coming up with really genius top tier quality, right? But we'll be doing it on Wednesday. Last Wednesday was on Jack's stream, so this Wednesday will be on my stream. I'll post a link out to it, leading up to it, all the other stuff, so it won't go unnoticed, hopefully. Or join my Discord and you'll get the announcement then, right? I always post when I'm going live and you'll be able to catch it there. Okay. Other than that, I'll be going live Monday at 2. And then Wednesday will be at 2 as well. All right. You guys have a great weekend. We'll cut it there. We'll see you Monday.